A lot has been spoken about friendship. It's the greatest choice for any living being. Friendship is defined in various ways. There are way too many legends and stories around. Some are even ages old, and some are just as fresh as it could be. Today, I have also brought you a story about friendship. Hi everyone, welcome to Storiaan. I am Kirti and here's a friendship's tale. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. School was over for the day and Raghav was walking back to his house. From the last few days, he is happier than usual after school. He reached a garden near to his house and sat on a bench under a huge tree. He took out his lunchbox, opened the lid, and kept it beside his school bag. Then he started glancing sidelong, and suddenly a bushy tailed squirrel appeared. The squirrel grabbed a quick bite from the leftover in Raghav's lunchbox. You know, Quickie, Raghav said softly and almost innocently. It's been 5 days since I talked to my dad. Quickie, the squirrel, stopped eating, holding food in its small hands, stared at Raghav, and its ears stood alert, as if it was understanding all what Raghav said. But then, in the next second, Quickie decided to focus on its food as real friends would do. But Raghav had to speak out his anguish to someone. So he continued, I have even not spoken to my mother in the last 2 days. I just don't understand these grown ups. Why is their work so important than family, than their own child? Raghav felt that Quickie nodded in the agreement, as if Quickie was trying to say, I can understand, but these grown ups are crazy ones. Raghav kept on speaking to Quickie. The squirrel mentioned everything that happened in his school, especially about the bully boys and his plan about taking revenge when he will grow up and yada yada yada. In return, Quickie used to look at him to make his one sided conversation more engaging and the rest of the time busy with eating. In the end, Quickie quickly jumped on Raghav's head, started playing with his hairs, jumping from one side to another, tickled his ears, and sat on his shoulders as if it was showing him some gratitude. Raghav forgot all his worries and anguish for some time. Once playtime was over, Quickie ran towards the tree. Raghav shouted, Few more minutes, Quickie, please. Quickie stopped, turned back at Raghav with big curious eyes, and gestured like, Later, bud, gotta go. Raghav stared Quickie till it got dissolved in the tree leaves and branches. Raghav wiped his eyes when tears rolled down. Of course, the good ones. He had his daily tonic of happiness. He now felt content. He knows that he can survive what comes next, and tomorrow there will be another happy day. Things were not as same as now for Raghav. He is the only child of his parents. His mother and father both are working professional. For them, being really good at their work in today's demanding industry meant generally missing the family time with their only child. It was a huge sacrifice for them because what they were doing would help shape up Raghav's future. At least that's what they used to tell themselves. Since kindergarten time, Raghav was alone. Initially, he used to go to daycare boarding after school, where his mother or father used to pick him up around 9 p.m. Now he's in standard fourth. Post school hours, he's been looked after by a nanny till his parents return home. He misses daycare boarding very much because he has never been so alone than ever. He used to play, dance, fight, cry, and console with himself in front of the mirror. He was actually a living example of breathing vacuum. One night at the dinner table, which used to be a silent affair, Raghav broke the silence and demanded, I need a pet. God knows how much courage he had gathered to say those four words, since mostly his demands were generally neglected or didn't get fulfilled. Unable to comprehend how to handle the situation, his parents got angry and said no together. Raghav cried. He cried hard and loud, but no one heard him because he sank his head under the two pillows and he kept one on his head. Nonetheless, he tried for a pet the next few days, and every time his request was getting politer, and at the same time, his parents were getting politer too. They never wanted to shout or scold Raghav, but that's the easiest and quickest way to get back to work, and it is important for Raghav's future. In fact, later they felt guilt and used to skip breakfast or lunch the next day whenever they scolded Raghav. At last, Raghav said, Please, Mom, I need a pet. I have had too much of me. I spent the entire day, every day, in front of the mirror, pretending someone else. I even don't know who am I anymore. Please, Mom. His father wanted to finish his meal faster and move on to his work, so he tried to stop the conversation. But Raghav's mother intervened and took the matter in her hand. That night, after who knows how many nights, Raghav's mother gave him some time. She took his head and kept it on her lap and gently started combing his hair with her fingers. They had a long conversation about the pet. However, Raghav realized this is a trap and he is never ever going to get a pet. Finally, his mom is going to win the conversation. He tried putting his points forward even though he knew he will lose. But guess what? It's all that he ever needed. He no more wanted to speak to himself. Even though he was losing, he wanted this conversation go a little longer. He wanted his mother to be around a little more. He knew this day may not come very soon. He wanted to grab all the attention and make a best of all the time he could avail with his mother. Raghav was happier for next few days and he knew this phase would end soon. Gradually, days became the same and nights the same too. His anguish came back along with solitude and started troubling him again. One day after school, when he was walking back to his house, he stopped in the nearby garden and sat on a bench under a huge tree. He didn't want to go to his house. The feeling of being alone was killing him. He started sobbing. Suddenly, a small bushy tailed squirrel appeared, and with all its curiosity, it started staring at Raghav. After some time, its gaze went to Raghav's school bag. His lunchbox was open, and it tried to steal the food. Even though Raghav was sobbing, he was silently looking at everything. He tried to give food to the squirrel, but it got afraid and ran. The squirrel sensed the situation out of danger and came back to Raghav. Somehow, Raghav didn't pose any threat to that small squirrel. I personally believe the reason squirrel came back to Raghav because it must have thought this human fellow is barely able to manage himself. Ah, let's go. Eat some of his food. Well, that was a joke. I don't think that was the reason. Raghav started making conversation with the squirrel. While the squirrel was busy eating his leftover food, after a while he laughed at himself and thought he has gone insane. He is talking to a squirrel, expecting it to talk back, and suddenly the squirrel jumped on his head and started playing. This was the moment when Raghav realized that he doesn't need a pet. He doesn't need to bother his parents to grab their attention. He even doesn't need to ask everyone in his school to play with him. He just needs one single friend. I think this is the reason that the squirrel came back to Raghav, as it also needed just one friend. The squirrel got its name Quickie, and both of them became friends. It's been a month since Raghav and Quickie are friends. Raghav has not told his parents about his new friendship. He even doesn't crib about the pet now. His parents are still confused about what has happened to him, and his mother never misses a chance to take credit for his new transformed behavior. You see, friendship is not a selfless act, it's about unspoken mutual understanding. Out there, every Raghav eats a quickie, and every quickie is waiting for a Raghav.
I hope that you all are blessed with great friends. But if you are not, then don't worry. Somewhere in some garden, under some tree, a quickie is waiting for you. I hope you all have enjoyed same as we enjoyed making it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and also share it with your loved ones.